worked really hard. I graduated, I did well in school. Plan worked out. No, I could see the writing on the wall. But they have been doing this for a long time, for many, many years. And the producer and the road manager, I think, were ready to retire. I saw that happening and was like, okay, I don't want to be an engineer. Then I had my boyfriend at the time, he's my long-term boyfriend for a long time, was living in DC. I went there to see how it was, and I found that there was a really big community for belly dance. I talked with the schools, and one of them who had worked with Superstars was interested in having me teach. And they were actually searching for a manager at the time. They had grown and they wanted someone to take over, and because of my background with engineering, they felt like I was analytical and I was linear in thought and this could be good. So I was managing the school, teaching there, performing there. Then I started gigging at like hookah restaurants in DC. As I was working in the studio, I was working on my own kind of name, and I was trying to get more workshop events. So in belly dance, that thing that I really liked that I saw Bojanka doing was that she would get hired at these festivals or conventions, and she would teach on some specialty topics, and then you would perform, you would maybe do judging, things like this. I love this because you got to travel, you got to perform, you got to make like stage pieces, not for like a restaurant, which has always been my love, which is why Superstars was a good experience for me, because that's what I'm drawn to. Even now, you might be able to tell in some of my pieces, it's like a stage thing, you know? I was doing all of that, and I think I was traveling to like areas on the East Coast. You could apply for teaching things at different festivals, so I was applying, and when I was in Las Vegas for a festival I was teaching there and performing, I got invited by a Chinese woman who had owned a school, and this was going to be my first big international event. She's like, we want you to come to China, we want you to teach, blah, blah. So I went, and I was elated because I felt like that was a big goal of mine. Like, if I can teach internationally, then I'm like going somewhere, you know? Like these these goals you have that feel so big, you know? And then slowly I started to see that my invitations to teach were coming in. So I said, okay, look, I think it's time to go independent, and I think it's time to put like all of my eggs in one basket, and I'm young, so let's just see. So I opened my online studio. I opened selling fans and dancewear, and I started with small batches, and I just kept going from there. And so what was nice is I kind of had a little bit of this harmony. Like, I would travel to teach somewhere, I would bring the merchandise like fans and things to sell, and people would buy those. And then I had the harmony that maybe they would take some classes online because they saw me in person and they liked this and they wanted to do more, but I don't live where I got hired to be. And so that circle went round and round and round and round. I was invited to, I want to say, like international, I was invited to Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan, the Netherlands. I have to think about them all. There's been some invitations in other areas of the world as well, like South America and Europe, and things just kind of, I'll get into what happened with us in a minute. It was just each year I wanted to grow and grow and grow and grow. And that's where it went. And then 4 years passed and we hit the pandemic. And that was really interesting. Every dancer, I think, has like their own story for what happened to them. Being a belly dancer who is traveling and teaching massive groups of people. I was actually on tour when the world kind of shut down. I was like, this is the year. I really got a lot going on. You know, I got things working and chugging and plugging, and we're back and we're there because I had suffered a bad injury in 2016, 2017 that had lasted almost a year and a half to get through. And so I was like, I'm back. We're here, you know? No, the world always has its own plan. And I was supposed to go to like 4 or 5 countries, and I got to 1. And I was supposed to leave like, I think on a Thursday for the next one, and they canceled it like Tuesday. And 2020 wasn't the worst, I would say, financially for my businesses, for sure, and I'll explain why. But obviously it wasn't like 2019. I had the online studio already functioning. So everyone had to go online and they couldn't go take their classes in studios, and so I had a lot of that kind of fallout into mine, and that benefited me. Also, online sales were not, for what is Teal Designs now, the boutique, weren't as good because it wasn't focused as an online store. I had it online, but it was predominantly the sales would come from events. There were no events. And I had all this inventory I had stacked up for that tour, like so much inventory, and I was like, oh God, what are we gonna do? I was also going through a lot of personal things, like almost everybody in the pandemic. So at that time, also, I was kind of taking a backseat on dance. I was like, well, if the world's gonna shut down, I might as well too, you know. Now, the biggest thing I did learn from 2020, because each year kind of had its big lesson, was that one of the reasons I had set up the online studio and the online store was that I knew that I really wanted to be an event teacher, but I didn't want to be financially reliant. And that's kind of where it gets into business models. Everyone's got their own, everyone's got their thing. And for me, I really wanted to do events, but I didn't want to rely on somebody else booking me for me to be able to pay my rent and my grocery bill. And I think this comes from the fact that my parents were of this mentality of like, you get a 9-to-5 and you have a 401k and you have a retirement plan and you have investments and you save and you buy a house, like very much from this thing. But how dance fits into that is not always easy. So I was like, okay, what if I try to blend it? The online store is a stream of income. What if I have the studio as a stream of income? La la la. Well, it turns out that was very handy because then there were no events all of a sudden. Now, 2021 was a big year to change. So everything just dropped off. I remember it was February 2021. I was looking at my numbers and I was also like kind of hearing from other teachers and other things that everything just collapsed. It was like we had hope beginning of January and like new people wanting to dance and this and that, and then it just flatlined. At this point, I just kept like, my mistake that I see now is I kept trying to do the same thing. And then I was also going through, again, personal things, and so I kind of went even more into this shutdown mode. I decided like, look, I had pushed myself very hard since probably university, you know, trying to have a career and travel and do this and work a full-time job and do this and do that, get injured, try to not like let anybody know that I was hurt. It was too much. So I was just like, okay, last year I kind of floated a little bit. Now this is really collapsing. Let me take care of my personal life. But keep that in mind, because the healthier you are personally, the healthier your businesses will be. I guarantee you, because what happened was I addressed what I needed to address in my personal life, and come like October of 2021, my business changed completely. It like grew bigger than it had been pre-pandemic. It feels stronger now. I'm doing a lot more of what I really like to do. I'm able to hire people and keep them employed. You know, I saw, okay, what you were doing, the models you were doing, they might have worked before. They don't work now. The world's changed. Everything's changed. How we want to work online and interact with people. And it will continue to change. So I did those model changes, and that's where we're basically at now. Here it's we're a few months shy of 1 year of when I started making model changes for my companies. It was a really nice journey to go from, I don't know what to do, girl in high school who likes belly dancing, but you know, how do you make this career? To seeing Bozhenka, I'm like, I want that job. And then to getting that job. And then on top of getting that job, being able to have businesses and grow them and make content and just make job opportunities for people. All of this is just like, what? For me. So be responsible for yourself. Pay your bills. Do what you gotta do. If you gotta get a side job, or if your side job is dance, but don't hold yourself back because you feel like you can't do it because of the lifestyle you live right now, because it will change. I never would have thought I have the opportunity to travel when I want, do what I want when I want, and do what I love, which is dancing. So that's my little story of, you know, engineer, belly dance, business, you know. We'll see where I am in the next 10 years. Share your story if you have one that you would love to share. And if you guys have any questions about it, I'm more than happy to answer them. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.